This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So we're starting today at 12:02, and so we'll start with the first agenda item. Just since we've got some folks in the room, I'll do some quick introductions. So we have a new planner, and that's Debbie. So if you want to say hello.
Hi, everyone.
All right. And then so I will go through my list of people. Okay. One second. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So if you hear your name, just let me know if you're here. Shelly Entrikin.
Here.
Barb Long. Doug Manick. Audra Miles.
Here.
Joe Coffin.
Here.
Craig Boynton. Hannah Fuchs. David Luters. Mary Patton. Shamra Robinson.
Here.
Tracy Dowell. J. Thomas House. Vivian Hageman. Max Schneider. Tyler Rogers. Sean Griffin. Dawn Harper. See that she's here. I'm going to mark you here. I see your name, Dawn. Jody Scott.
I'm here.
Angela Marinich. Renee Razzo. Chris Mitchell. Don Rulis. And Greg Cassidy. All right, not quite a quorum today, but that's all right. We can still move forward. And actually, I will acknowledge everyone else in the audience. So I see we have Jim Bremner from Washington Township and Melissa Orwell from IDOT. Was there anyone else I missed?
This is Marie from Ivysill.
Oh, okay. So I heard Marie from Ivysill and Audrey Barrett from Snyder Village.
Yes.
All right. Okay, and then we also have Gabe here from the county.
Hi.
And I think that is everyone here. Let's see if anyone else pops on. Okay, do we have any public comment today? All right, moving on to the approval of the minutes. So since we don't have a quorum, we can't approve them, but does anyone have comments? All right, seeing none.
Were you able to hear me, Rima?
No, oh, now I do. Now I can.
Yeah, I'm having a phone issue, so bear with me.
Okay. Well, you're working now. All right, so we will table the minutes until next time. And now we'll go to agenda item number 4, which is provider and agency updates. I'm going to go, let's switch it up. I'll go backwards up my list. And if you have any updates about your organization that's relevant here or just that you want to share, then let me know. So I'll start with the committee members. How about Jody Scott? Do you have any updates?
I do not have any updates this month.
All right. Next, I have Dawn Harper with Epic.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing really to report at this time.
All right. I see we got a new person who joined by phone. Who just joined?
Chris Mitchell.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we're doing we're just doing the updates, and actually you're next on my list, so I'll put you on the spot. Do you have any updates you want to share today?
The WOW event at the library was very interesting. That was provided by the ADA Committee of City Link, County Link, and City Lift. And it is available online, so people can catch up. It discusses the new updated passenger rules. So I would encourage people to look at that if you want.
All right, sounds great. Yeah, I was there as well. This was put on by the Greater Peoria Mass Transit District. A lot of really good information about paratransit riders in the Peoria area. All right, so next person on my list, I've got Shamra Robinson. Speaking of GPMTD, you have any updates?
Yes, good afternoon. So just to make sure that most people know out in the public that if you have a bus pass this month and you want to go to the Peoria Riverfront Museum, it's free entry if you have your bus pass available. So that's all of April. So very excited to collaborate with them on that. And then there were some changes. Many may know if they ride the fixed route bus, but over in East Peoria, they're working on the Bob Michael Bridge, which is IDOT. So we had to do some reorganizing with some of our buses. So that seems to be going pretty well so far. We have the information available on our website for those updates. And trying to come up with a marketing idea for Washington. So I have been talking with Jim Brimmer about that. So I'm just trying to communicate on my side with my colleagues just to see if there's anything that can be done for that. And then, as Chris Mitchell mentioned, we did have the ADA WOW Discovery event at the library last month, so that was very exciting. And then we did update the Writer's Guide. So if you don't have your copy, please come down to the Transit Center and you may obtain one. And then also we created a Writer's Guide video, which is the Cliff Notes version of the Writer's Guide, you know, to help people that just have different ways of learning. So that video is available on our website as well. So that completes my report. Thank you.
All right, sounds great. I think I heard somebody joined in the middle of your report. Was there a new person who joined?
Yeah, it's Craig Boynton with City of Galesburg. I couldn't get on with the webinar part of it.
Okay, all right, you're good, thank you. We are, and this just happened when Chris joined. We're going through the updates and you're actually next on my list. So do you have any updates about Galesburg to share?
Oh, okay. Well, we have started out this week with absolutely zero of our Gillig buses working. So I've been using all paratransit to try to cover our fixed route bus system and our paratransit system. Supply chain and just old buses, so it's the same old story that we have. We were able to get cameras installed off of a grant. So cameras were installed.
Never went far enough. Oh,
Oh, I hear you, Mary. Mary, do you hear us?
yes, I can.
All right, we'll give Craig a second to finish his report and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Perfect. I'm glad that you were able to get on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Waiting for names.
We're able to get the cameras installed off of a grant and finalizing all that, and then we're actually hoping to have another project completed with our online app for our riders so that we'll be able to use that here in the near future.
Right. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Moving up my list, I have Joe Cochran. Do you have anything to share?
No updates.
All right, cool. How about Audra Miles from Fulton County?
We got our FY24 application submitted for DOPIN 5311.
Great. And last for the committee list, I have Shelley Entrican. Have anything for Fulton County as well?
We hired a driver. That's always great. Still need a couple more.
Nice. That's good. Okay. Oh, and I should say Mary joined us as well. So Mary, you have anything to share with AARP? You had sent me something before. And it looks like you're on mute, so you can unmute. And let me see if I can.
Unmuted, yeah.
There we go. You're
Okay.
good.
The AARP this session is working to increase the adult day services rates. The adult day services program through the community care program through the Illinois Department on Aging is an option for people to stay in their own homes, but they can't stay home on their own. So there needs to be a place for them. And so that's where we have the adult day centers. And those are not only for the senior that is in need to have a safe place while their caregiver is not available. There are many caregivers that also work, so they can't be at home watching the loved one and be at work. So this isn't a place that a senior can go and transportation is provided. Well, as we all know, no one's getting enough money. There are two places that we are working to increase the rates. One is the hourly rate. Currently, it's $15.30. We are asking it to go to $16.84. Then unit transportation currently is $11.29, and we want it to go up to $12.44 for each way transportation services. And that's the one that we were really interested in. Actually, we probably want more than that, but I guess this is kind of what's been negotiated. So the House bill is 3223, and Representative Lapointe, Lapointe, is the chief sponsor. I guess that's it. It's also a respite for family caregivers, because we all know that after a while that gets to be very, very stressful to the caregiver. So to give the caregiver a day off, then the caregiver can know that their loved one is well taken care of. So that's basically it. We ask people to support House Bill 3223 for an increase in the rates. Okay, and I tried to make that as succinct as possible.
All right. We appreciate the detail there. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
All right. So we do have some other folks here. They're not on the committee. How about, I'm just going to go through the names. Audrey Barrett, do you have anything you want to share with the group?
No, not at this time.
All right. How about Marie from Ivysill?
Yes, Ivy Sill has moved from our LaSalle office, so we're now in Spring Valley. Our new address is number 1 Les, LES, Buzz, BUZZWAY Way in Spring Valley, and it's 61362.
61362. Sounds good. Big move.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you. How about Jim Bremner from Washington Township? And I see that you're muted here.
Unmuted. Okay, are we good?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. As most of you, if not all of you know, we've been extended a full year till February of 2024 with the funding we currently have in place. So that's great news. We don't have to worry about that. And we did not apply for any grants this year because of that. This last month, I have tracking monthly from Trans Development, part of City Link, City Lift. And this last month, I just got the results, and we provided 165 rides here in March, which is the highest count we've ever had to date. But we do want to figure out how to get that even higher. And as Shamra had said, we're going to work together to see if we can do some advertising. But I also want to ask the group if there's any way, if any of the agencies have people with disabilities living in the 61571 area code that could use our transit service. I'd like to have that name and address so that we can do some direct mail to people who are not using the service. I think that's the best way to reach those people. Most of them are of age, and a lot of them are social media functioning. So what we wanted to do is do a couple of direct mail pieces. And if I had those names and addresses from every agency that's got somebody our way, ages 18 and over, that'd be wonderful. I'd like to get that. And maybe, Rima, maybe you can put that out in a note afterwards too. And then that would help. So that's all from me.
All right, yeah, and that's the city of Washington and or Washington Township.
That's Washington Township overall, correct.
Okay, yes, thank you. So if anybody knows anyone living in Washington Township or someone who knows someone who is, then maybe we can get them a ride through this service. Yeah, and anyone can email me and I can connect with Jim as well. Let's see, I think I heard someone just join. Was there a new person here?
That was me, Renee.
All right. Well, since you joined, do you have any updates with the Agency on Aging?
Not right offhand, I don't.
All right. Okay. And I think the last name I wrote down here is Melissa from IDOT. Do you have anything just you want to share with the group at all?
No, I don't have anything new. Thank you.
Thanks. And did I miss anyone? I think I got everyone, I hope. All right. Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 5, which is discussion future in-person meetings. This is kind of a big one. So we, as you all know, we have been having hybrid meetings for the past several months, if not well over a year at this point. And we could do that because the governor for Illinois has put out an emergency order that that basically overrules the part of the Open Meetings Act that requires in-person attendance because of an emergency, which was COVID. Even though we're still, COVID is not done, but there's a lot more openness, and he has made his decision to end the executive order to extend that. So based on the law, the Open Meetings Act law, we do have to go back to in-person. And it has some benefits and some challenges. So it would be wonderful to see everyone, but also I recognize that it's a challenge because not everyone can easily drive or get a ride to Peoria. So I wanted to have a discussion about, what could help you, come to the meetings, what would make it easier for you, there is also an option to split it up into different locations. We could potentially alternate between Peoria and Galesburg, for example. I wonder if anybody had any specific comments about going back to in person? I will say that for anyone who has been on this committee for a while, we used to have in-person meetings and we used to have food provided. And I made what I thought was a very well thought out pitch to my IDOT representative, but it sounds like their hands are tied, that the funding that I get for holding this committee and doing all of the work that I do does not allow food. So I think in the past we were grandfathered in. If there's any way for us to get food, that would be ideal, because I know if it were me, I would come for the food and the discussion.
Potluck.
Yeah. A little bit of both. So that is kind of up in the air. Probably not, but if anybody has ideas, then I will take them. Well, I'm going to call out Craig. He mentioned to me earlier, like a month ago, that he might be open to hosting meetings in Galesburg. Is that something that people would be interested in? Like every other one?
I would.
We got one table here.
Personally, that would be a lot farther for me to travel from Fulton County to go to Galesburg. That's at least an hour plus drive.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. This is Mary. I remember those days and I really, really liked them because we really got to know the person in that area and really understood what she or he was saying. However, at this point in my life, since I've broken my femur and then I broke my ankle in 2 places, I'm not driving, so my husband would have to drive me. So if we could still resurrect that, not me, but going back to visit in different areas, maybe we could do it every other time or, whatever. I think I'd be willing to try that. But to make everyone, I don't know, because my husband has appointments and activities also, so I'm reliant on him right now for driving.
Right, okay.
Wouldn't that fall under a special circumstance so she could Zoom?
Maybe, yes. I will say, that's a good point. So there, now the only legal reasons for being able to join a meeting virtually is if you are sick, if you are out of town for a work-related reason, and there is one more that's escaping my mind. I'll have to look that one up. So we could still, we would still offer virtual, kind of on a case-by-case basis. And I will say that this would actually only apply to the committee members. So we have some folks that are not officially on the committee, but of course are welcome to come, and they do come. So we could have that option hybrid for non-committee members. But for us to have a quorum, for example, that would have to be either in person or if someone is sick. And I feel like, yeah, for anyone who, for health reasons, can't come in person, that might also qualify.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I've never been able to drive, and I can see the possibility of not being part of the quorum on the days I could not get to the community, because City Lift won't go that far, or County Link, unless we can figure out among ourselves a meeting point. For example, I can take City Lift as far as Faith Lutheran Church in Washington, and I don't know if I could find a ride with someone else going to the meeting in Galesburg or not. But I would try to do that, being a member of the committee. And if that wasn't available, I would be willing to attend virtually, but know that my vote wouldn't count that day unless we can get some kind of waiver.
Okay, yes. That is a
I
good
mean,
point.
if it's due to the disability, are they going to still say that we can't function?
I mean, if I would say personally that would fall into a health reason for not being able to come. That's significant enough.
Yeah, I've never had the vision to drive, and fortunately I found that out when I was 21, and so I haven't my whole life. And I find that I've grown a lot serving on this committee, so I would certainly miss it if I couldn't participate.
Okay, yeah, thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Right, well, it sounds like, and we could change really at any time, it's up to us. But it sounds like for now, we might want to stick with just Peoria. I wonder in the future if we have like factions, maybe have like an optional meeting for those in the Fulton County area. And maybe an optional meeting for those in the Galesburg area. And then we can kind of report back on the smaller meetings. Something just trying to come up with a middle ground.
Well, good things will come up. It's just looking for them, and not getting discouraged at this point. So thank you, Rima.
Thanks. All right, well, if that is where we fall now, like I said, I think we will stick to in-person in Peoria, so it'll be in our office. And if you used to come to meetings, it'll be the same room, so just down the hall, same floor, in room 420. So not this one here, but the one that done in the past.
So I have a question. So the next HSTP meeting we do would be totally in person.
Yes, so the next one will be June 6th. That's the first Tuesday in June. And that would be our normal time. For this one, we did have to move because I was out of town. But our normal time is first Tuesday at noon. So Tuesday, June 6th. And I'll tell you with plenty of time in advance. So if you need to change things around or get transportation, anything like that, you would be able to hopefully get here. Okay, well, any other comments about that?
Well, if anybody needs a ride from the Galesburg area, I would volunteer to bring.
Okay, would you come down to Peoria to get them?
Oh, from the Galesburg.
From the Galesburg area?
Yeah, since I
yeah.
come from there, I could pick people up and.
Okay.
Same here. I can give people, so.
Go ahead.
This is Craig. Same here. I can give people rides from Galesburg if they need.
Right. Well, we've got 2 offers from Galesburg. if anyone needs a ride to Peoria, that would be great. I know, I recognize that a lot of folks here wear multiple hats, so it does take time out of your day to drive here or get a ride. So that would help. All right. Well, if there's any more comments, feel free to call me or email me, and we can talk more. It's kind of an ongoing discussion. I just wanted to bring it up here. One last thing about that is that we did change our bylaws in, I think, 2020 or 2021 to incorporate virtual attendance, but now I have realized that that cannot be the case, unfortunately, because of the law. So I might bring that up in the future just to find there's like one in the bylaws that says that virtual is acceptable, but I will have to amend that. And I'll give everyone ample time to read those through once we change them. And it would just be that section. All right. I'll give one more chance. Anyone else have a comment about in-person meetings? Okay, we'll move along to agenda item 6, which is the report from recent conferences. So I have been to 2 conferences since we last talked. I'm just going to mute a couple folks that are in the background noise. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and if you're on the phone, then I'll still talk through it, so you should be good still. 1 second. All right, let me make sure you can see my PowerPoint. Okay, can everyone see the PowerPoint?
They're muted, so.
Okay, well, let me know if you can't see it. All right, so I went to 2 conferences. The first one was the Rural Transit Assistance Center, RTAC, and that was in Springfield in early March, 7th and 8th, and I know a few of you went to that as well. And I also went to the American Planning Association National Conference in Philadelphia. That was last week. That was the reason I moved this meeting, so I will tell you all about it. So this is relating to the RTAC conference. I thought this was a really interesting quote. So some of you may know Dave Patton, he works for the Rural Transit Assistance Center in Macomb, and he said it takes 20 years to become an expert in this field. Talking about rural transportation as well as just public transit in general. So I just thought that was a very poignant thing to say, that there's just that many intricacies within all of this. So it's a whole lot to handle sometimes. All right, so I just tried to summarize a couple things that stuck out at me here. So IDOT gave their several reports, and you may already know this, but they mentioned that if you receive DOPE funds, Joint State Operating Assistance Program funds, there will be monthly advances through Black Cat moving forward. That might have been different in the past. They did mention that RLS, which is their consultant, will begin conducting 5311 compliance reviews in May. So if you receive rural planning funding, rural transit funding, then that is what they mentioned there. In terms of the Consolidated Vehicle Procurement Program, so that's the one where you apply for a vehicle through the state. There was an application last year. They are not going to have one this year due to limited available funds. They did get extra funding from the feds, but due to all of the issues with trying to get parts and trying to order vehicles, they had to put that extra funding into the vehicles that they will purchase from the last application process. So they're still working on the purchasing questions and amounts. So if you applied, they're still working through it. And then this is brand new, this blue section at the bottom here. So there is a newly released notice of funding opportunity for section 5305. This is brand new to me. I don't know if it used to, if this is resurrected or if it's just new. But it is transit planning funds. A governmental agency or who works for a mass transit operator is eligible for this. There is a 20% required local match, and the applications are due May 24th. I will also send this out. Not everyone here would, I believe not everyone is related to this, but I'll send it out to the group. So this is specifically planning projects. So if you're doing a capital project to put in a sidewalk or something along those lines, then you can fund your engineering through this. You could do route studies. There's a lot of different options. So that is something to think about. One other quote that I heard was transit as an economic development tool. And you might not always think of it like that. So I found that to be interesting because it really is. And sometimes you have to remind people, if you want economic development, then you have to actually provide rides for people. All right. And so there is one session that I took some notes on. It's called Marketing on a Shoestring Budget. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that most of us have a shoestring budget. So these are some ideas that I found were pretty interesting that differently incorporated throughout the state. So one thing that we can do is utilize QR codes. So if you have a flyer or some sort of advertisement that you post, people with smartphones might be able to read this code. So you bring up your camera and you look at this. It's kind of like a barcode, and it scans it and it goes to whatever website you have. So that is just one option. There's someone who said that they work with their local college, the students there, if they have any projects, and that might help take some work off of their plate and provide some, just some extra experience for the students. You could do things like optimizing your website. I believe it was the last meeting where I mentioned that for Tri-County's website, we recently got an accessibility button. So there, you click on it and it can make the size of the font bigger. It can change the colors to be more visually readable. So that is one option. You can utilize the local media. So things like radio stations or morning news shows. Even if you don't really have an event, you might, if you're interested in trying to reach more folks to provide the service to, you could just reach out and say, hey, just want to let people know that if you know someone with a disability, senior, whoever it is, maybe you can benefit from our service. A couple pretty creative ones I've heard as well, where somebody collaborated with their local movie theater to show the ads before the movie. So anytime you go see a movie, there's previews, but sometimes there's also local ads at the beginning as well. And I had never heard of someone doing that, so that was a neat idea. And finally, someone said that they talked to their bars or like restaurants for folks who would stay out late. For anyone who has late service, just advertise that, hey, we can take you home safely. All right, so that was the first one. I'll move on to the APA National Conference. This one was in Philadelphia. And I do like these quotes, so I write down quotes when I hear them. So this is from the APA president, Angela Brooks. She said, sometimes it's less about the planning work we do and more about how we treat people. So something to think about. All right, there was a whole lot of talk about accessibility at this conference. And I sat in on a couple sessions that talked about it. So here are some ideas that I took away from that. So when you're, and not everyone here it works at planning agency, but I felt that it was worth noting when you're actually planning for the spaces you live in. It's good to integrate accessibility from the very beginning. And for this group, I'm preaching the choir because that's what you do. But it's good that this is becoming more, people are outwardly stating this. Of course, work directly with people with disabilities and whatever population you have if you're restructuring any programs, and following the best practices. And one session I sat in on talked about working with neurodivergent autistic individuals, people with ADHD. It's talking about providing a space that they're comfortable in as well. So any kind of sensory issues, they would be able to go to a different room or just have a different option of participating. I thought that was good. And then this is yet another quote from Denise Jacob, and she is part of the disability activism community. She said that it was a wonderful achievement, but it was only the tip of the iceberg.
Emergency.
Right. Okay, so we have just a couple more slides here. This one talking about communication. When you're talking to negative, anyone who is bringing some negative energy, listening to them, understanding what they are bringing to the table, fostering relationships. And when working with the public, you try and tell a story and build empathy. And when you bring emotions in, then you can provide kind of more of a substantial process with that connection. And this is, I believe, my final major slide. So talked about supporting transportation options, different ways of getting around. So these are rented bikes that I tried out for the first time. So there's just one option. And in terms of equity, people talked a lot about focus groups and connecting with different neighborhoods and working with local partners when they have a chance.
Excellent.
And all right, these are just some pictures of me in Philadelphia. I met this wonderful man who looks like Benjamin Franklin. So it was a really good time. I felt like I got a lot out of it. All right, that's all for me. Let me figure out how to unshare. There we go. All right. So I will move on. I guess, does anyone have any questions about the content? It was a big summary. There was so much material that I tried to boil down. All right. I'll move on to agenda item 7. And that's me again, the HSTP coordinator report. I'll be really brief here. So in March, I conducted 3 5310 reviews. So there are 3 agencies that receive vehicles through the Consolidated Vehicle Procurement Program, like I mentioned before. And I am working on responding so that there are follow-ups to that as well. And let's see, there are some other ones that IDOT requested that I complete, so I will let you know if you fall into that category. I'll reach out to you directly. And I do appreciate everyone's patience because that was my first time doing all these, and I thought it was really nice to meet people where they were, to understand what these agencies do. So it's a big learning experience for everyone involved, actually. And my last thing here is if you have any idea for a speaker for this group about a topic that could be relevant. I mean, I can talk, but I feel that someone else, it doesn't have to be me talking all the time. So I'm happy to give short presentations, but also if you know anyone who might be interested, can be very short. Actually, it should be relatively short. Just let me know and we'll integrate them into future meetings. All right, and that's all I have. So for agenda item 8, other, is there anything else for other? All right, last call. Sounds like we're good. Okay, it's 12:47. We will adjourn. Thank you everyone for coming, and we'll maybe see you in person on June 6th. I'll send more information to come.
Thanks, Rima.
Thank you, Rima.
Thank you.
Thank you.